This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.
Scott Holliday of Rival Sons joins us on the show. Rival Sons kicking off their tour with Clutch, the U.S. tour with Clutch at Brooklyn Paramount on September 5th. Rival Sons' most recent album is Lightbringer. You can get all the info right now, rivalsons.com. Scott, great to meet you virtually, if as it were, but I think I've seen the band only once, unfortunately, but it was quite a few years ago at the Gramercy Theater here in New York. I don't know if you remember that show. It was an excellent show. You guys blew me away.
The Gramercy, that was a while ago. Was that 2015?
Yeah, I think, that sounds about right. And I think you just recently wrapped up a European tour. I saw some awesome photos on your Instagram of you with the Reverend Billy F. Gibbons.
Yeah. Amazing. We did a pretty much a headline and festival season for us over there, and then did that singular support in London with them at a sold out Wembley. It was pretty fun, pretty cool.
Is Billy like the best guy ever? I mean, what a fashion plate too. So you guys probably had a couple things to talk about fashion wise. I know you're a fashion plate.
I've been looking at those guys my whole life since I was a little kid. I love how Billy and Dusty always had a lot of fun with it. It was always like some nudie suits and somewhat ridiculous and far out, almost cartoony, to like just really clean and beautiful fashion that they do, and the hats and the facial hair and the sunglasses and the guitar. The whole thing is very much he's very much been a mentor to me in that way since I was, like I said, maybe, I don't know, 8 years old. This was a band that was played in my home. I'm part of the MTV generation. So yeah. I saw him since I was a little kid on that Eliminator tour. So I've got to hang with him before. We've done some award shows together, and I got to spend some time with him, and actually him and Jeff Beck backstage. But I got to, which is just weird for me because him and Jeff could be up there for my number one guys and influences on me in every way. But this time was special and cool. We actually have some stuff in the works where a film crew has been following us for a long, long time and putting together this doc, this film. And luckily they were all there for this Wembley, and they got to sit down and talk with him, and he got to talk to them about the band and me, and it was fun. It was really, really special.
It's interesting that you bring up Jeff Beck, because the famous quote is Jeff Beck was asked sometime in the early 70s who his favorite guitar player was, and he said Billy Gibbons,
Yeah. Not surprising to me. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of surprise, but Jeff's just so eclectic, but there's an elusive boogie and feel and authenticity in Billy's playing that still exists today. It's aging well. And I get it. He's definitely high on my list. I liked him when I was a kid just because he was so cool. Right. The cars and the girls in the videos and all this
the
stuff.
Spinning guitars.
Yeah. And as I became a guitar player, I went, oh man, not only is that guy my favorite because he's cool, he's actually the best. He's actually this incredible guitar player that really harnesses the lineage of blues guitar being pushed forward, maybe arguably better than any player,
I mean, it's all about feel with him too. I mean, it's just, and similar to Jeff Beck, it's just sort of like, you give, I saw this, you probably saw this clip too. It was a John Bon Jovi clip of him talking about his solo album. He did that song, Blaze of Glory, I guess, and Jeff Beck plays on that. He's like, that session was interesting because, we wanted Jeff Beck to play on it, and he just like rolled in without a guitar. We had a guitar lying in the corner, and he just picked it up. It wasn't his guitar at all, never played it before, and then he just completely ripped that solo out, and it was just absolutely mind-boggling.
I love it. And that, to me, that epitomizes what I love about how a player is real to me. What I love about it, and I love people that obsess and have their certain things they use and can be that kind of a player, and I can be that kind of player on one hand, but on the other side of it, like when we go to make a record, it's very much off the cuff like that. And I think you hear that with a lot of great players that it's just what's in them. That's what and for me, if I'm going to go in, not that I'm on their level or whatever, I'm not trying to say that, but I'll say that the way I approach the art or the guitar playing or songwriting or solos or any of that is it's there already. What's going to come out is going to come out, and I'm not a fan of overworked material. I love the idea of its improvisational and it's so natural, and it's so off the top of somebody's head that it's like that's the instinctual what is there. And I think when I hear that, you can tell like that's just what's there for them, and it's either incredible or it's just fine, but either way it's real and it's honest.
I would say you have one of the better jobs in the world, touring Europe in the summer. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, I guess. Tell me some of your touring highlights so far this past summer, and touring in general.
Touring in general, the band gets along really well. So it's nice to see everybody again. We love our band. We love our crew. Seeing all these beautiful places on the earth is it's a luxury. It's a treat. It's something wonderful in this life that none of us take for granted. Certainly, I don't. The job that we have is particularly special as well. The job that I get to do is really based on making people feel good every night. That's it. I show up. I want to connect with the people I love on stage, and we want to connect so they can connect to us in the audience, and we can have this exchange together. And that's, I mean, it's miraculous. It's what jobs exist to make people feel very happy and very alive and very good and in the moment. While I'm trying to feel those same emotions on stage, I get to feel that way. It's a very magical job. And when things match up and the planets align and we feel this way on stage and they feel that way in the audience, there's not much better feeling than that, you know. It becomes almost what I would call, sorry, I would call that like almost like a spiritual thing.
Scott Halliday of Rival Sons is with us, and the band's been together for 15 years. Scott, 8 albums now. I think 2009 may not seem that far back in the past, but with technology these days moving as fast as it does, I love that you found Jay Buchanan, your lead singer of Rival Sons, by scrolling through something called MySpace.
Yeah, the long deceased MySpace, which always really dates the band.
But it's not that long ago, really.
It's the truth.
I mean, it's not that long. I mean, it's not 50 years ago,
No, but it was an honest thing. We had the rest of the band together, and we had somebody else singing for us who was wonderful and a wonderful person and a good singer too. And it just maybe hadn't totally linked to be perfect yet, but it was still cool what we were doing, and people would come out. And we've had a particular night that we played a very small venue here in Huntington Beach, and I had a friend of mine come out, and he said, "Your band, you guys are the best band in town for sure right now." But being a singer, this guy was a singer. He said, "But you need me to be singing in your band. So you need to." Not that your singer's bad. He was just thinking, I want this gig. You should get rid of that guy and let me sing in your band. I'm better. So I went, oh. And just for fun, I kind of ended up going to his MySpace and listening to what he was doing. And I thought, oh, he's really, really, really talented. But I don't know. And then on his page, on MySpace, on the old thing, used to be like where you had music playing. You had like a little player on it. You can like listen to what they're into. So people put their own music, or they just put people that they dig, and you had your friends and stuff like that. And I remember that he had his 6 top friends up on his page, and in that top friends was Jay Buchanan. And it was really just mindless scrolling, to be honest. I just went, oh, I think I've heard of this guy Jay Buchanan, and I clicked on it just to see, and he had his player up, and there was the first song on there was a song called Satan is a Woman that he had written. And it was just him playing live or acoustic, this version. And in approximately 17 seconds, it was like, just ripped my head off. There was something about his timbre, the tone of his voice that I just felt like this sound right here is like the sound I'm making. It's the guy I've been looking for. And I just knew. I just knew that was the person I was going to connect with. So I ended up telling Miley, who was the drummer already, and saying, I found the perfect guy. I found the guy. And I said, I don't know if he lives in Baltimore or New York, or I don't know where he's from. This dude's name is Jay Buchanan, and he has a few songs up here. It sounds like he's doing like coffee shops and stuff. This is our guy. I know I can do this band with this guy. This is my guy. So let's find him. And he said, oh, Jay Buchanan, you're hilarious. This Jay Buchanan's one of my best friends. I've played with him. And I said, you're kidding me. You know him. And he goes, yeah, I played in his band. He's a local, kind of like local hero. He's a local guy. Everyone knows Jay is great in Long Beach, in town. And I was a town over. I live in Huntington Beach. So I had a lot of Long Beach friends, and I played Long Beach, but I hadn't caught wind totally of Jay yet. I just knew the name, and that's why I clicked on it. I just didn't know he was a Long Beach guy, and ended up being a back and forth with Miley and Jay until finally he could get Jay on the phone with me, and eventually we were able to like come together at a rehearsal. And I sent Jay the stuff we had recorded already, and we got together in a rehearsal room, and pretty much immediately, we didn't really talk that much. The funny thing is, I had been growing my beard, and I had this big beard. This was before everybody had a beard. I just was being a weirdo musician. I had this real big beard grown in. And all of his pictures were clean shaven when I saw him online. So when he showed up to the rehearsal room, and we looked at each other, and I had these big, like big glasses on and a big beard. And he had these blue blocker glasses and a giant beard. And we just looked at each other and went, all right, okay.
Speaking of ZZ
Like,
Top, right?
yeah. Okay. That's what we're both doing that. So then we jumped into that room, and we honestly didn't talk for about 45 minutes. We just played music for 45 minutes straight without communicating. Songs that I had sent him, improvising, just kind of playing music together, covers, just improvising. And after about 45 minutes to an hour, we stopped, step outside. He was smoking the type of smoke, sure. And he just looked over at me after a long drag of the cigarette. He looked over and went, so I guess we're going to do this band thing. And I said, yeah, I think we should do the band thing.
Fantastic. Well, you mentioned the OC, Orange County, in California. So many great alternative punk bands from there, like, Sublime, No Doubt, Social Distortion, The Offspring. But in the end, you chose a different sort of musical sort of genre to sort of focus in.
Yeah. I never really chased. And I think that was just for lack of anything else. It was just what was in my heart. And the same way I'm talking about players being instinctual, I always felt that I had to be instinctual with the kind of music I wanted to make, and kind of always saw the musical landscape as like a puzzle that fit together really nicely. And I felt like that puzzle that was rock and roll was maybe the multiple pieces to a puzzle. I thought there was some rock and roll pieces, but just not enough. And I'm in an area where punk, ska, metal, rap infused metal, and these kinds of music were rampant and getting deals and everywhere. But I could feel in the community, I could feel with my friends and everywhere that people were hungry for rock and roll, and it just wasn't being made. It wasn't available. And I thought, it's buried so deep in my heart. And it's so right there for me. Like, I know this music. This is the kind of music I need to make. So that's what I did.
Do you think that was your parents?
Yeah, of course. I think it was my upbringing. I think it ended up being what beyond my parents, just what felt right to me as a self-taught musical historian and someone who music just spoke to me, you know. But certainly it started with the influence of my parents and my aunts and my uncles and their friends and their parties they had and what I heard, you know. I can remember my auntie having parties when I was just like 7 years old or something. We had this pool table room that everybody would party in, and I can distinctly remember them playing like those first few Van Halen records, and being a kid and wandering in and going, "This is cool. This sounds cool to me, and this looks fun, and everyone's having fun, and everyone's having fun because this music is fun." And that's how I felt. And I remember my mom at her parties playing like Zeppelin, and the same thing. Everyone's singing Zeppelin, and everyone feeling good, and the energy in the room feeling great. And I could connect at an early age that the reason it feels good is because that music is good, and it's in people's heart, and it's making people come together right now and feel great. And
What
I think
was the?
that
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like that connected with me. That's was the source of happiness for people at these gatherings.
What was the first song you completely nailed and learned how to play on guitar?
Ooh,
Don't say Roundabout by Yes
I
or Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple.
well, I started with more elementary things. I remember the very first songs like Wipeout or something like that.
Oh, a little
The
surf
first
rock. Yeah.
the first songs that I like was like playing were like Wipeout, the Pink Panther theme. Like, you know, these kinds of things are what you first learn. The first rock and roll songs were some stuff I taught myself. I had an uncle that sat down with me too, and I think he taught me uh, "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd, and "Over the Hills and Far Away." But he only knew the song part of the way through, and he kind of knew his own version of it. So I had to go back and like correct it and go, "That was close, but this is how it's actually done," and like put the rest of it together. But those are some of the earlier songs for sure that I was figuring out. Definitely Hell's Bells, AC/DC. Um, I think those were my earliest probably songs.
So you're a great guitar player, and when you are scrolling through Instagram or TikTok and you're watching these insane players from all over the world doing this crazy stuff, do you have any particular favorites lately that you've been checking out? There's a couple of Matthias guys, right? Like in Italy or Spain or whatever.
Yeah, I know the guy. I don't know him by name, but I do know this guy you're talking about. There's an Italian guy that's really unbelievable, and he jumped on stage with Joe Bonamassa, and there are some clips of it. I know that. Um, I'll be honest with you and your listeners, just because why not? Um, these like manic guitar clips that are online constantly, it's not so much my thing. I like music in a different way, and I absolutely appreciate these guys that like can basically jump through fire rings and like are just unbelievable acrobats on the instrument, or can like play bedroom blues and just like really make it bleed in there. And it's like, I get it. That's cool. I'm happy for them, and that feels good. And tons of people love it. It's not so much my thing. I don't do it. You'll never have a video of me sitting in front of the camera and in front of my phone and showing you how to play a song, because I like the journey for me of having to search it out on my own. If I never got a video of Paige going, "This is how I did the Rain song." So I learned the Rain song in the wrong tunings and learned the whole song that way. And you know what? I learned a lot of new chords that he never even did. Then I learned it the right way, and it took a different type of work. And then it's just preference. I just don't totally get off on watching one guy in front of the camera just burn it up and do this crazy shit. That's for me. I like watching a band. I like going to see people play live like that. But it's different for me. So I don't really have so much. If I had to pick one, I really love my friend JD Simo does that, and he's just incredible, just a real field player like we're talking about. But I have other friends that do it too, and Just for the record, I'm not hating.
No, it's
No hate
fine.
here.
Yeah, totally. I totally get it. There's this
It's all
one,
love.
Yeah, there's this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he'll take like people doing a speech and then he'll put metal to it. It's just crazy. I'll send it to Mark, and he can send it to you. I mean, it is really ingenious what he does with just videos he finds on YouTube of people speaking like in weird parts of the world, and then he'll put metal to it. It's just bananas. But yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, Scott Holiday of Rival Sons is with us. They are kicking off their U.S. tour with Clutch right here in NYC, Brooklyn Paramount, September 5th. The Rival Sons' most recent album is Lightbringer. Get all the info, rivalsons.com. Scott, real pleasure, man. Nice to meet you, and we'll see you in BK, NYC on September 5th.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to start Brooklyn, stoked, and I hope you're there and we can say what's up.
You got it, man. Thank you, Scott.
See you soon.
This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.